What is AI ethics? To learn more, I spoke to Nick Diakopoulos, Associate Professor in Communication Studies and Computer Science at Northwestern University and Director of the Computational Journalism Lab. He spoke to me about AI ethics and the development of AI systems safe for newsrooms to use.
Yeah, so I run the computational journalism lab at Northwestern University, and I've also been running a blog, the Generative AI in the Newsroom blog. And, so I've sort of had a little bit of an overview of generative AI and how it's been used in news production and research. We built some research tools in my lab that incorporate generative AI for creating angles on news content to help journalists kind of creatively ideate about different frames or angles that might be worth pursuing on content like press releases or scientific articles, things of that nature. And typically, we build a tool, we prototype a tool, and then we test it with journalists to see how it's working and how they're responding and reacting to it. So that's kind of one angle that I've been thinking about. And then I'm seeing kind of a lot of different use cases pop up in the context of the generative AI in the newsroom blog in terms of, story discovery, in terms of rewriting content or checking style and grammar or generating headlines or summarization is actually probably one of the biggest, most frequently mentioned use cases. And in that sense, these language models are creating new opportunities as a researcher to understand impact and possibilities for improving journalism, for finding new stories, for making work more efficient, and things of that nature. I started the blog in January, and I think early on, people were very concerned about accuracy. People are still concerned about accuracy and hallucination of these models. People are concerned about provenance and attribution. They're concerned about confidentiality, privacy of information that's being input into these models. There's a lot of concern about copyright, plagiarism, those kinds of issues. Copyright, I think, is maybe grown in concern level. I mean, it was always a concern that I was hearing from folks, even from early on, but that seems to be accelerating. People are concerned about biases to some extent. The fact that these models learn societal biases, and I think that kind of covers the gamut in terms of what I've been hearing from folks. And just in general, I would say also, people want to know, the big question is, how is this going to impact my job? Is this going to take away my work? Or is this going to change my work in some way that is uncomfortable or forces me to, adjust my skills or have to, essentially change the job in a way that maybe I'm not happy about. And I sense that there's still some fear around that. And my approach is that um, uh, that these tools are going to change work, but I don't see them as fundamentally substituting journalists. I see them more as complementary tools where you use an LLM or generative AI, but there needs to be a lot of editorial oversight. There needs to be a lot of checking and tweaking and tuning and thinking carefully about prompting and how journalistic values get encoded and communicated in prompts and so on. So I'm more hopeful actually that the technology isn't going to get rid of jobs. I think in the context of the research we've done in my lab, mostly what I've seen is that introducing new AI technologies into the newsroom tends to create more work for people rather than less work. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but it makes sense if you think of the technology as complementary. So, for if you're complementing a person with an AI tool, um, basically that means you need more and more human effort in order uh, to to pair with the AI effort. And so AI might help you scale up an investigation to look at 100,000 documents, but maybe that means you need 5 times as many people or man hours to really edit the output from the AI. So uh, I think it's an interesting um, approach to think that these tools are going to really take away jobs and save so much time. And I think there's some newsrooms who are pursuing that and really want to just press a button and output some low quality content and then try to sell some low value ads around that content. We're seeing that. We're seeing that already. We're seeing some news organizations get caught with not um, having enough human attention to edit that content to get it to a level of quality where it doesn't have errors in it. So I guess we'll see different variations of this. We will see some low quality publishers who are able to just create content farms. But I think if we're talking about the high end of the spectrum, kind of quality content, quality news content, I do still very much see it as a complementary technology.